Yeah.
All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to the Reason Over Religion after party. I hope some of you that were there watching the interview enjoyed it. We certainly did. We had a great time chatting with each other. And now we're joined by Faithless Southerner and Reese C, which I think is Colette, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something, okay. but anyway, so we're just shooting the shit a little bit before we went live here about philosophy. So let's pick up on the whole philosophy thing. Evans, you were saying something about how a lot of the stuff that was once considered philosophy is now mostly in our toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, so you would say the philosophy of science, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you're a chemist, so things that were derived by the philosophy of science you use every day. It's like I equate it to people who denigrate math, like higher forms of math. You know, they say, "Well, the math is stupid. I never use calculus, right?" But then you drive, or I'll never use trig. But then you fly in an airplane and you drive your car and you get on your smartphone, and so it's like, you have people who are not, and it like you don't have to be. I'm not mathematically minded. I barely remember my high school math at all. The stuff that I use on a daily basis, I retain. But so, you use a lot of these philosophies like logic and reason and the scientific method and things like that, things that were derived from more academic pursuits of philosophy every day. They're just not recognized as philosophy. And so I think that's a big problem. And I think that there's a problem in the philosophical sphere with proper communication. A lot of the philosophers that you run across are just jerks, for lack of a better word. And so I don't know. It's incredibly important, and people don't realize just how much it's used on a day-to-day basis. And so they cast doubts and dispersions on it, in my opinion, unjustly. Like the person that says math is stupid, while I'm tweeting on my smartphone.
I hear you for sure. Okay, so all right. Well, we got a lot of people now coming into the chat now, so that's
It's an interesting point of view, actually. You could almost think of it of correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know much about philosophy, but of your early thought experiments that help lead to scientific hypothesis, where people start formulating experiments and testing out whether or not their hypothesis is correct. It's something along those lines is what you're talking about.
That's essentially what the philosophy, if you look at the tenets of the philosophy of science, which is how we, like the veil of ignorance is a philosophical perception of looking at the world. So things like why we have double-blind experiments is those were derived from philosophical trying to get around, thinking about how we think and trying to get around it. And so one of the first things that people learn who go into the scientific field is all the tenets of how we perform science, the scientific method and things like that. And like that's a direct derivative of the philosophy of science. And so, without philosophy, right, we wouldn't have all of, and you use it in a very blanket. Most of the time, whenever somebody thinks of philosophy, they think about old people sitting around arguing, right? It's just people who are kind of jerks and nobody ever gets to a point and things like that. But then you don't realize that, like, we, especially because we're atheists and we're definitely more logical and reasonable than anybody else in the world. Tongue in cheek there.
I second that one.
Yeah. Not always, buddy. Not always.
Yeah, no. That was incredibly tongue in cheek, because I think that we commit the same egregious errors that young Earth creationists do on a daily basis. But we hold up logic and reason. We hold up logic and reason like they're these pillars. Like those are philosophical concepts. Logic is a subset of philosophy. So if you like logic and you like reason and you like science, you like a part of the broader umbrella of philosophy. You don't have to get into like meta ethics to be doing philosophy, right? That's an interesting subset. And I like moral philosophy and ethic, meta ethics and applied ethics. things like that. That's not all there is to it. And there's this kind of negative light that especially the atheistic community casts on philosophy that I think is really unjustly earned, because again, it's the same thing as saying, boy, I hate math. Math is so stupid. I would never use math, and then picking up your smartphone and sending a tweet.
I see where you're coming from. I think probably from other people might disagree with me, but coming from a previously heavy fundamental religious background, the only type of philosophy you're exposed to is the religious philosophy that has this overarching idea that they've got a monopoly on the whole gamut of philosophy rather than just one section of it. So the only exposure some of us get is just that religious part of it, which to me is rather, almost pointless because it does nothing to help us, where what you're talking about leads to practical application. And I can confess straight away that was mostly what I've been exposed to, is the religious aspect of philosophy, which I don't have much regard for.
Yeah. And I'm not going to kid myself. Like there are parts of philosophy that have little to no day-to-day applicability in your normal life. It's like, not everybody has to be a quantum physicist, right? And so, you have very narrow slivers that have almost no application outside of their academic spheres. That doesn't mean that they're useless, but it means that it doesn't matter to people very much. But, what I would like to see and do is have people who are more engaged in like practical sides of philosophy, particularly like life philosophy. Where you're drawing on ancient wisdom principles to better your day-to-day life, to help fill the psychological desire that we have for purpose and meaning, and to give you some sort of a life sort of an operating system for your life. And so I take a lot of slivers out of various philosophical, between pragmatism and stoicism and Buddhism and things like that, and smash them together to something that works really well for me. And I think
I think we all do that, really.
Yeah. And so, but people don't recognize that as philosophy. There's almost this negative stigma surrounding the word philosophy, where whenever somebody says something about philosophy, everybody goes and just,
I blame that on Steve McRae.
Yeah, because he's probably like the worst communicator of philosophical principles that has ever existed. Like, he's a smart dude, but
he is.
He's a smart guy, but at the same time, he's shit at explaining things. And then whenever people don't understand what he's talking about, he doesn't break it down in a way that's understandable. He just goes, "Oh, you have no freaking clue what you're talking about. Here, I'm going to retweet and get my goons to come in here and call you an idiot." It's like, that doesn't help anybody.
It sounds like Kent Hovind.
I agree. It's similar.
He always has to be right.
Yeah. If you said, if you said, "I have never studied mathematics before," and I said, "Well, what's 10 minus 5? And you go, "I don't know." I don't say, "You freaking idiot. Have you never picked up a math book? How could you not know this?" Retweet, look at this guy who has no idea what he's talking about. And then I cite 18 different algebra papers, right? That's not how anybody works. Like, these things are easy to break down. The differences between knowledge and belief, between, various epistemological principles. And these things are very easily broken down in a way that people can, at least at a base level, understand, right? You can go infinitely deeper, which is one of the awesome things about philosophy, because it's really, there's always more to learn, but I don't know. There's a severe lack of proper communication in the philosophy world. There's sort of a aloofness to people. And like, Steve is like me, he's a layman. Like, he's not classically trained, and so it's even more insulting in that regard.
Well, it's probably not helped if you've got somebody like that who's putting themselves up on a pedestal of superiority, but then has no ability or no intent to try and educate people as to what they're talking about. You know, some people just like to sit there and blow their trumpet and look down upon everybody else if they don't understand what they're talking about, without any thought as to, well, this is why I think what I think, and let me break it down for you. Not all the smartest people in the world are great teachers.
No, that is for sure. In fact, in my experience, the people who are smarter usually make poorer and poorer teachers on average.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, especially in that realm where there's already sort of a negative stigma surrounding it, it just makes it worse whenever people are out there perpetuating the bad name. And it's just and the other thing is it's like philosophy is one of those things, like you're right in certain things, but people can still believe other things and be perfectly rational, right? Like, so you can be technically right, especially whenever you get into like language, because language, you know, I challenge Steve to actually study the philosophy of language, because clearly language is nebulous. And so if two people are using two different terms, right, there's, and this is what we run into with Steve a lot, whenever people are using two different terms, it doesn't necessarily mean that one is right and one is wrong. One is right in a particular sphere of influence, and then one may be used more generally, right? That doesn't, because the person refuses to use it in this particular sphere, does not mean they're a freaking idiot, right? You know, which is where the conversations always go. So,
well, no, I see what you mean. It's like when you talk to religious people online, the difference between the general accepted definition of the word theory and then the scientific definition of theory is two different things.
Yeah. And science and philosophy use words prescriptively, right? So there it is. This is the way that you use this word if you're going to use this word. It's not like normal definitions of everyday language where it's used descriptively like a dictionary would do, where it's nebulous and it can change and things like that. The word theory in colloquial terms usually means something like best guess.
I have an idea.
I have an idea. It's my best guess, things like that. Whereas in science, it's this specific, it's a hypothesis that's been tested and proved to be true. You know, it's the most likely explanation for these, and it's not willy-nilly, right? And so what happens, the problem with those conversations is that the religious person will start equivocating. So they'll say that this means this in this sphere, and that's just wrong. But whenever we're talking about like philosophical principles, especially in regards to language, it's not that there's one that's right and one that's wrong. They're just used in different areas. And so, like,
that's why they say words are intrinsic, right?
Yeah. And so, you know, it's one of those things. Like, I don't really care how you define yourself as an atheist. Like, going on, Klaus. I define myself as an atheist in the philosophical context, you know. But if you want to call yourself
I just said this app did not load because there appears to be something wrong with it.
Wrong with what?
I don't know. That's what I got. It says on the control room.
Control room. Something's wrong in the control room?
That's my luck.
No, you're coming through fine.
Yeah, I just got a thing that says control room, and there was an error loading your app. This app did not load because there appears to be something wrong with it. That one.
It's coming through very sketchy on my end.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, same here.
Well. No luck again. No worries. I'll close it down. Hang on.
Yeah, try refresh. Duke!
What's up, dude?
There's Duke.
Oh, there he is.
Damn it.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Just got home, dude. I went to work at 6:45 this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know what that is?
Worked.
What is that?
Part
Time.
That's the world's smallest violin playing you a sad song.
There's an app you can get for that.
I couldn't see you through the. I couldn't see it through the beard.
Hey, look, there are worse problems to have.
At least the man's got hair.
I've got some extra if you want some.
At least you don't grow it in all
where it's coming from, but,
I don't know. If it looks like barbed wire and camel's pubic hair, I don't want it.
Nah, I straighten my shit.
You straighten your pubes?
Yeah, absolutely. You know
the hell?
How the fuck did the conversation turn to this?
Really, are you wondering that Duke and myself are in the room at the same time? And we've got frustrated here with us.
Gone from philosophy to pubic hair.
Yeah,
welcome to a conversation with me.
Hey, man.
Klaus can't get back in.
Just be philosophical about pubic hair. My philosophy is that you should trim it off with a hair trimmer.
Rusty Ross wants to know if you braid them too.
No, I get my wife to braid them. I'm not very good at braiding.
That must be quite the picture.
You don't want to get too close with that hair strut
tonight. We can't come over for dinner tonight. My wife is currently braiding my pubes.
Now, is that the ones on the front or the ones on your ass, though?
Yes.
All the above.
I usually go pleat on the front, French on the ass, but sometimes I swap it around.
You got Neil again.
French spray.
Got him.
You're welcome, Neil.
Got him.
See, I could say I'm not actually going bald. My hair's just relocating. It's migrating to the south. Not for winter, permanently.
Yeah, so yours is doing the same thing mine is. Mine stopped receding a while ago, and it's in full-fledged retreat now.
Oh, yeah, well, just be grateful the camera's not pointing to the back of my head.
Is it like that scene in the SpongeBob movie?
Oh, I'd have to remember the scene, but probably.
With the king? He takes his crown off?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being a cunt. Oh. How's everybody's day?
You're just being
whose conversion was it?
It was
it was mine.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Sorry I missed it. I was working like a friggin' person that's owned by the company store.
Excuses.
Well,
I get that, man. I'm just lucky I'm on 2 weeks holiday right now, so otherwise I'd have been up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
The underbun. I don't even want to know what you're talking about, Rusty.
Underbun. Oh my god.
The underbun. Oh, the Australian bun.
And Stephen Bowman is in the chat too. How come you're not in here? I thought you. I mean, I know when you first came in, you said you weren't going to be here long, but you've been here for a bit now. And everyone thought we were talking about him when we were talking about Steve McRae, so we had to point that out.
Yeah, no, we were talking about Steve McRae.
Hey, Ocean's here too.
Ocean's here too?
Oh, in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend.
We were talking about Steve, and there's Ocean.
Hey, Ocean, do you want me to send you a link? Would you like to join us? Let me know. Just type yes or no or whatever in the comments, you know.
Type beard.
Type beard. Yeah. It's all about beards these days.
No, all you got to do is tell him that Thor can't be black. Have you seen that current Twitter feud going on? That's amazing.
Okay, no worries. He says he's just watching for now. That's fine. He's going to wait until we give him reason to want to jump in here and bash us.
I'm going to explain the Norris pantheon to Ocean real quick, guys. Just hold my beer.
That thing is a mess, he says.
It's been one of the most entertaining threads.
You know, I think I don't know what you guys think. Let's do a vote here. I think I should give Ocean a wrench. What do you guys think?
Yes. It's not. He's not really part of the family till he has a wrench, dude.
He says send him a link. I knew that would pique his curiosity.
Okay. Hang on. Let me.
Where's this chat I'm missing? I can't see it on my screen.
It's on the YouTube itself.
Oh, it's on
the YouTube stream. Right.
Yeah, pull up a separate tab and keep it running. I pause the video so it doesn't get all weird.
There's a plan.
I don't think Ocean is actually a member of my Neil's Usual Suspect group, so I'll have to actually keep him.
Of course he's not.
No, but you are, Reese, and we're all still wondering about that.
I know, right? How the hell did I make it?
Reese is frustrated's alt account.
I'm the alt. I'm alt Russ.
Russ Light.
Russ without the speech impediments.
I don't know.
Gauntlet is thrown down.
Damn.
Evans is on fire.
I mean, it's just the truth. It's
fucking
I hope Reese is. I hope he's watching
because you're biased against polytheists. I like polytheists. I used to be one, so I can't really say anything bad about them. So
I used to be a Christian.
I can say plenty bad things about polytheists.
Catholics are polytheists anyway, aren't they? Even though they say they're not, they are.
Yeah, they're pagans in denial.
Depending on how you conceptualize I would maintain that all Christians, if you're a Trinitarian, if you believe in the Trinity, are polytheists.
Yeah,
that's true.
Agree with that.
That's the Trinity is just.
It's like, where's the damn link? I just sent it to you, brother. I just sent it to you.
Anyone seen Bill Maher's movie Religulous?
Nah.
Yes.
I saw it. It was a crack up. He put some bad info in there though, man. There were some things in there that weren't true.
Yeah, there is, but there is an interesting part in there where he talks to a Catholic priest and over at the Vatican, and he tells Bill that the guess who number one person is that the Catholics pray to, and then where Jesus comes in, and he comes in at either number 5 or number 7, but they call themselves monotheists. I find that hilarious.
Well, they pray to saints, right?
Yeah.
Well, because they're canonized.
For baiting me in here. I took the bait.
You're welcome, Ocean.
It's a democratic process where you can vote someone to become divine. It's fantastic. My mum used to pray to St. Anthony for a parking space, for fuck's sake.
Isn't there some stipulation that you're not supposed to directly go to Christ? You're supposed to go to Christ through the saints or through Mary or through the priests?
In Catholicism, you pray to the saints to be intercessors between you and God.
Did it help with the parking places, though? That's what I want.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Because if
it probably has more to do with the fact that people were just leaving at that time. But
I don't know. It could have been Anthony. I'm thinking about becoming a Catholic.
That makes me think of that.
I'm going to start praying at St. Anthony for parking spaces now.
That makes me think of that.
Also,
you've got to get over the cannibalism part of things.
That's well, I guess that's a deterrent, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. How bad do you want those parking places?
Yeah, that's about. Are the parking spaces worth the cannibalism rituals?
Are they under a tree in the summertime?
The main entrance, then they might be.
So I should probably mention they were all disabled spots though, and she didn't have a permit. That might make a difference too.
But
just kidding.
Evan, you've been reading that.
Oh my God, I weighed in on it as well briefly.
The thread is a mess.
It is. It's a shit show.
Mess.
It's like a non sequitur show in there.
Basically, Dude Buddy's a fanboy of Marvel and got butthurt over the idea of cross casting with races, saying that it brought up Thor specifically as being something you wouldn't be able to cast a black dude playing. And I was just like, what does that have to fucking do with Thor? Like, if you cast Thor as a black dude, what changes about the story? Fucking nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
But if you cast Black Panther as a white dude, what changes about the story? Fucking everything.
Well, White Panther.
It becomes
he wears a white costume,
doesn't it? So when he was saying that I was holding a double standard by saying that it would be fine to cast Thor as a black dude, but it might be weird to cast Black Panther as a white guy. And it's just like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, and what's even worse?
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to cast Rosa Parks as a white guy.
Steve,
Like,
dude, we can barely hear you, barely.
Yeah.
Get closer.
Turn it up, buddy.
There's a difference. Like I brought up, he was saying it was a double standard. And I was like, look, if you cast Eric the Red as a black guy, I'm gonna raise my eyebrows, like, because that's a human. But if you're gonna like say that, that these aliens in the Marvel universe have to be played by white people for whatever reason, I don't get it. I don't understand why you need to have that.
Not only that, Thor was personified to a human in the comic books early on. Eric Masterson. You know what I mean? So realistically, why couldn't he have been tied to a black guy?
Dude. Right.
Like,
Well,
there's no reason why he couldn't.
The fallback position was, well, it's not true to the comic books and the original art, which was, important. And while that's not even really a reasonable argument.
Of Nick Fury? Who posted a picture? Somebody posted a picture of Nick Fury as a white dude in the comics and was like, was there a problem
he originally was.
when he was changed to a black dude in the Marvel cinematic
my
universe?
thing is that the cinematic universe is separate from the comic books, right?
Yeah, it's a separate universe.
Stupid argument.
Right.
Like, I want these things that were never intended to be like the comic books to be like the comic books. It was my response to him. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You can, like, nobody was raising Cain about Heimdall being black, and like, I don't care.
Exactly.
What
the best part about Heimdall being black is that Heimdall in the mythos is one of his monikers is the White God.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's being played by Idris Elba is fucking hilarious to me. I think it's the greatest thing.
I had to say about that.
Like getting mad because Peter Porker exists. Because you want him to be Peter Parker in the other Spider-Man universe, or that Penny Parker, or all the Spider-Verse people. It's like saying, well, I'm mad that, X person is Spider-Man.
See that fucking movie, too.
Oh, it's so good.
I want to watch it.
Good.
I haven't seen it yet.
It looked great.
It's one of the first,
good.
One of the very few movies that was ever given 100% by Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's
the Into the Spider-Verse one.
Yeah.
My son's seen that. He reckons it's brilliant.
It's the art style, the story, the pacing, the score. There's nothing bad about that movie that I could find.
Once you told me it was better than like fucking Under the Red Hood and Doom, Under the Red Hood was fucking amazing. Like, that's one of the best portrayals not live, but one of the best like animated portrayals of Batman I've ever fucking seen. He moves like he should. He fights like he should. They pull all those cool scenes, like with the guy throws the car at Batman and the doors open and he jumps through the open doors and kicks him in the face. And I was like, that is some shit Batman would do. It was great. I got to see this
new one. Have you seen the new one, the Ninja Batman?
No. I didn't know that was awesome. A thing.
It's totally different from the usual Batman stuff that you're used to, but it's fantastic. You got to see Ninja Batman.
Something like that.
Why? Because it's
awesome. Sounds awful.
It's awesome, man. I thought, Steven, I had that going through my head too when I first heard about it, and I thought, what the fuck? It's like some anime Batman thing. And then I watched it. I gave it a chance. And Joker's in it, and Penguin's in it, and they all have all their own. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Mortal Engines, but with the moving cities and stuff like that. It's kind of like that.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I just watched it. It didn't get very good reviews, but when I watch a movie, I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about it. I watch it because I want to see it because it's something that interests me, and I've always been into the steampunk kind of stuff. So I watched it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really good.
Critics watch movies differently than like you would normally conceptualize. They're looking at things like, it's why Venom got such bad reviews. You're looking at how and Venom was an enjoyable movie, but the critics
not everything's going to be an Oscar film.
Yeah, not everything's going to be an Oscar film, and the critics are looking at it from a much more
You really can't trust the critics. They all love Star Trek Discovery, and that's an abomination and a half.
I love it, man. I love it. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to confess, I enjoy that too. See, to me, a movie is successful if it's loved by its target audience. You know, who cares what the critics think?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just curious to see who's gonna play Batman and who's gonna play Superman next after both those guys have jumped ship.
I think somebody that can bring the DC cinematic universe back to reality.
Yeah, they need somebody. They need to bring somebody in that actually knows how to make a fucking movie. Because Suicide Squad was a goddamn nightmare. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad that I literally was just floored by it. And it was funny because everybody thought the worst thing about that was going to be the Joker, and I actually thought he did a good job.
Did anyone hear see the SNL sketch where Marvel was sitting at one table and the DC characters are at the other table?
I haven't seen
that.
No one here. All right, fair enough.
The only Marvel DC shit that I remember from Saturday Night Live is going way back when John Belushi played the Hulk, and everyone was like,
one.
Okay, well, no, I mean, they're all like, oh, Hulk was in the bathroom, don't go in the bathroom, kind of thing, right? Black Lightning showed up, and he's like, you don't know who I am? I'm Black Lightning.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was wasn't it? What's his name? That Sinbad played Black Lightning.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him into the party because nobody knew who he was.
Yes.
Wow. But so the thing that I found frustrating most with that thread was when the guy that was arguing with us started trying to quote or like trying to reference Icelandic lore to me.
Yeah.
That'd be number one.
I was like, I've said it. He tried to like reiterate his point a minute ago, and I posted like, "Look, dude, you brought up folklore as a justification for the race of a god in a comic book to a bunch of polytheists. That was a really stupid idea.
Yeah,
like that was really dumb.
Yeah. Just started quoting folklore at you. I was like, nah,
that's the wrong guy to do that.
Wrong dude to do that to. It's just not.
Obviously, he didn't know who you were. Obviously,
probably had no clue.
Did you see what Doorknob had put in the comments here? Peter Porker, Bacon Man, does whatever a pan of bacon can.
So we got to sing it though.
Awesome. I got some people saying Aquaman was good. Apparently, I should be changing my name to Aquaman because his name is Ocean. But
I haven't seen Aquaman yet.
I think it's
I've
Wet Thor. That's my nickname for that movie is Wet Thor.
Wet Thor, yeah. You know, I heard someone else say the same thing.
Like that's basically
it's a bit of, it's a bit like that. It's a sort of almost like a cross between. It's Wet Thor and the underwater scenes are a bit like Avatar, with the coloring and the scenery.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. It does have kind of an Avatar.
Isn't it the
I
same storyline?
Jason, so I'm never gonna watch it. I didn't like.
Oh, I love Jason Momoa.
It's made more money than Dark Knight Rises. So
yeah, it's made heaps.
Shit.
Like, what the fuck? Like when I saw it, I was like, "This is decent," and then I walked out of it like, I was a good experience. I enjoyed all the explosions. I don't necessarily care too much, I guess, but you know, cool. There's some neat spectacle stuff in there, and then I'm seeing how much money it's making. I'm like, why?
I think they followed a bit of the Marvel philosophy watching that particular one because it wasn't so dark, and it had your typical action sequences and all those sorts of things in it, but it had a bit of the humor in there as well. It seemed like whoever made that film was trying to copy Iron Man or something similar with the way the film played out.
There was a piss joke in the movie.
I love it.
Like that's how far it went.
Yes, but was there an
like, you know what? Instead of you doing all that magic shit with my sweat, I could have just peed on it. Like it was just it was a strange moment.
I've had a fucking grudge against Jason Momoa ever since fucking Conan.
I couldn't stand him since Stargate Atlantis.
Was he Conan?
He was Conan, I think, and like fuck, man, like don't touch.
Bad? I didn't see
it. Was awful. I watched the first 15 minutes of it and turned it off. Like 15 minutes into the movie, somebody punches Conan in the face and he just like takes it. And I was like, this is so not true to the goddamn. Well, that's so far fucking gone because like Conan would have just killed anybody that looked at him sideways.
You've seen the first one, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was kept as a slave for a period of time.
Well, yeah, but not. This is after that. So Conan's an established thief, and he's running around with another guy, and this dude punches him, and he's just kind of like, okay, I guess. And I was like, what? No, because I don't even know. Like, he would have fucking killed him immediately.
That can be easily explained because between Schwarzenegger and Jason, he got off the roids. So you don't have Conan the Barbiturate anymore.
Road roids.
Oh God.
Conan the Barbiturian. That's okay.
See, Conan was my very favorite comic book as a kid, and one of my very favorite movies.
Comics. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Have you read the Robert Jordan novels? Conan.
I met one of the writers of Red Sonja recently. I haven't read any Conan Barbarian stuff. Red Sonja? I haven't seen it. There's a movie?
Yeah. Played by played the wife of the Russian guy in Rocky 3 or something.
Bridget Nielsen.
I didn't realize that. There's a new one being made now.
Oh, that's the Hollywood mantra, isn't it? Remake everything that's already been made.
Oh God, there's a 1985 one.
Can't wait till they remake Harry Potter. That'd be pretty cool.
Let's see who's playing her this time.
I wonder if they'll add in all the post hoc stuff that she added to it on Twitter after the fact.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll give Dumbledore a boyfriend.
So weird.
I love Dumbledore.
Just like leave it alone. They were masterpieces. Don't fuck this up for everybody.
Don't Stephen King it.
What is it?
Okay, so far the only thing that we know about is Bryan Singer, part-time pedophile, is going to be directing it.
He's not a full-time pedophile.
You should You should read the article. The Atlantic posted a really good one recently about all the people, all the guys under 18 that he's messed around with. But that's a thing. Don't read that unless you want to have a deep fucking dive into the dark aspects of Hollywood.
Yeah.
But apparently he's set to direct. I don't know who's playing Red Sonja though.
What else did he make?
I didn't even know that was in the works. I'll tell you that right now. I have no idea.
It's probably going to be Jason Momoa. He's doing every other Arnie film.
God damn it, that would be funny as shit. Let's see. I know he did some of the X-Men films.
Okay, I never watched those.
He did the first Superman remake too, with Brandon Routh in it. I think.
Yeah.
Singer.
I liked that. I liked it. I didn't like the movie, but I liked Brandon Routh as Superman.
That's only because he looked a lot like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, because the thing about Superman is anybody can play. Anybody that's 6'4" or 5" and has good muscle tone can play Superman. If you could put a fucking blue suit on them and make them punch things and do CGI and make them fly, they're Superman. But playing Clark Kent is really fucking hard, and he did a good job at playing Clark Kent.
So
yeah, I'd give you that.
He directed Bohemian Rhapsody, X-Men Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, Jack the Giant Slayer, the Valkyrie movie with Tom Cruise in it. Yeah. X-Men 1 and 2. He didn't do the third one. Couple of episodes of House are in there. And The Usual Suspects is another one. That's what got him.
That was a great film.
Known.
The Usual Suspects is one of the best movies I've ever fucking seen.
I have not seen it. So I guess I'll check it out. But it's yeah, but it's what put Bryan Singer on the map. And let me see if I can get a link to the Atlantic articles.
Yeah, and as bad as it sounds to say, because of what he's been known about him recently, is that Kevin Spacey's performance in that was astounding. And it's also got one of the best actors. One of the best actors I've ever seen, Pete Postlethwaite. He was brilliant in that as well.
I mean, the guy's a piece of shit, but I've never seen him perform poorly in a movie. I've never seen a movie that he was in where he did not put a stellar fucking performance in.
So, there you go. Link in the side chat to the article about his accusers. Let's see. If you guys want to go into a deep dive of his...
they call it Hollywood for nothing.
Apparently, here's a... quote, "The portrait of Singer that emerges is that of a troubled man who surrounds himself with vulnerable teenage boys."
Mm.
Wow.
Hell of an article here.
And
that sucks.
That whenever the Harvey Weinstein came out thing, a lot of the buzz in Hollywood was somebody's going to say something about Bryan Singer because he's the other obvious one. So
I had no idea, to be honest. I had no idea that he was even being
singled
out for that.
Like, just from some of the work that I've done in the movie industry, I'm not like an insider or anything like that, but I heard about him from other people that had worked with him. So it's like, well, and honestly, once the Kevin Spacey stuff came out, I wound up hearing from other people that had PA'd with on the sets with Kevin Spacey that he's a little bit creepy and would try and flirt with every like younger guy that was working on set. He would cross the line like a little bit. So it's just, but you don't talk about this stuff. So
you see that video he made in character?
Yeah.
That was weird, wasn't it? Cringy shit, dude. That was like some fucking sociopathic, like,
right.
There is something seriously wrong with you.
The "you miss me, you want me back" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. It came out right after he was like officially charged with sexual harassment too. Like, it was the timing of it was pretty bad because like it was just been announced that he'd been indicted or something. Like earlier that day. Like, dude, your timing sucks. Like, obviously a publicist didn't handle that, or else they would have delayed it.
Or his publicist quit. His publicist was like, "No, I'm done with you."
It's like, I don't like. He's poisoned now. Nobody work with him.
No,
they reshot an entire movie that they'd finished with him.
Oh, Christopher Plummer. Yeah.
All the money.
And he got nominated for a Best Supporting Actor.
Right, exactly. That's gotta sting, right? The guy, the kid's hired to reshoot a film that you're the top billing for. Probably you're the reason.
What are we going to do about this guy? We'll throw in Mr. Von Trapp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Tonka Saw of Hollywood. Did y'all see that shit go down? I'm not even into that fucking scene, but y'all see what went down with the Kumatai show and with all that shit?
Nope.
And the supposed fight that was supposed to go down between Andy Worski and Tonka Saw?
I just don't pay attention to that whole subculture.
Yeah, same.
I don't either.
Honestly,
but then,
I get all the YouTube blood sports that I want to out of Non Sequitur Show and Modern Day Debate.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've never watched the Kumite, and I don't watch Worski either, but Red came to me and was like, "Hey, did you see what was happening?" It just piqued my curiosity, so I went and looked it up. And apparently this dude was like a guy who would like literally invite anybody who ever disagreed with him to fucking fight in real life. Like, internet tough guy, dude. And
wow.
What was his record?
He was saying, that's the thing. He was saying like he was saying he was a professional wrestler, that he had wrestled in a lot of dark matches and with a lot of big names, and he owned fighting productions, and he had a 3-0 MMA record, but he quit for other reasons, and he owned multiple businesses, and he was super rich and all this shit. And then it turns out like he actually lives in a double wide with his grandmother. He like partially broke his neck when he was young, and he's wheelchair bound, and he's like, so he scheduled this fight in real life with Andy Worski at a real venue for a real fucking fighting production, and then just ducked out. Like, just didn't show.
Oh, wow.
It was just brutal. It's just brutal. It was like, that whole thing, man. Like, and it was just, I don't know. It was one of those things where it was like a train wreck. So like, I was like, you're right. Red brought it up. I'm going to look into it, see what it was. And then like, the more I saw of it, the more drawn into it I became. I lost like a day or like an entire night shift over that shit. I should have been reading my article on epistemology, and instead I was watching some fucking bullshit drama that I'm not even involved with and don't care about.
Red's a bad influence.
The Real Housewives of YouTube, you know what I mean?
That needs to be a show.
Right? That's awesome.
You can follow all the significant others of like all these channels.
Oh man.
Like
Do we really want to do that?
Yes, in fact we do.
I'll bite down that bullet. I will double down, motherfucker.
I think that is it Godless Cranium and his dialogues with his fiance that he keeps posting are hilarious.
Oh god, they are really funny.
Like she's an in. I wanna have her on this show. Cyrus' significant other Pam is a really interesting person, so we'd have to have her on that show.
Snarky.
Snarky, yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
Should we include
Inane Princess?
They're not technically married, her and Pelagia, but she is the significant other.
Cyrus and Pam aren't married either, so just significant others, whatever.
Inane Princess.
Inane Princess, yeah.
Inane Princess.
She's hilarious.
This would be an amazing show, would it not?
Actually, okay, now you've convinced me.
Yeah, no, I know how to do a pitch, man.
Well, if I was a movie house or production company, I'd be like, okay.
All right, now give me money.
Right now.
How much are we willing to raise?
I got about $3. Does that do?
Awesome, that'll do it. I can make a reality TV show. That's more than the budget of most reality TV shows. So
$3 and bubblegum and
we'll be fucking living it up with $3.
As long as I get that gold Mercedes like they got in Dubai, I'm good.
Like we just take all these people, we put them in a house, and we just have a plot like drawn together as everybody's trying to make YouTube videos. And it's just.
Oh my god! Actually, I can see this. Actually, you know what?
Big Brother, this shit.
You had me drawn together.
That would be like a huge garner. Yeah. Well, we garner a huge audience with that. I'm pretty sure.
Especially telling
in the
you.
community that we've got.
Well, and then you have the spinoff show of all the husbands whenever they get super jealous because that show's doing better than their own channels,
trying to do another thing.
To try to boost their popularity. Like Sirius goes full on Sargon.
Fucking great, dude. Iowan would be the best. His reactions would be the best there.
Oh yeah.
That would be hilarious.
I tell you what, we'll just have a giant mud pit in the middle, and all the guys have to wrestle to the top.
Oh God,
I'm having visions of Stripes, the movie Stripes with John Candy when he jumps in there now.
I miss John Candy.
It was a while ago.
I had to work the front desk at the hospital the other day, and there was nobody coming in, and Uncle Buck was playing on the TV. And awesome. I had forgotten how much I fucking loved John Candy. He's so fucking funny.
How the fuck did I forget Casey? We need to throw Casey into this plot line.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We need some drama.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought. I wasn't going to say it, but the plot line definitely gets 10 times more interesting once you throw Casey into it.
You have to have conflict.
Yeah. Drama will happen.
Every good story is conflict. So,
I think we're on resolution here. I don't know if they'll go for it, but I think we're onto something here.
I feel a name change coming on. Duke, the Real Housewives of YouTube Bonanza is going to be a thing.
Godless together.
You would have a bunch of the Godless crew in there, right? I mean, you'd have Godless.
I'm just thinking like, Godless together.
Yeah,
that's what I would call it.
I think it's beautiful.
That's brilliant. Holy shit. That's awesome. Godless
we just
together.
record their interactions as they compete with one another for something. We have to throw a competition in there of some kind.
Axe throwing.
To make it. Say what?
Axe throwing.
No. That's if you have the geek room in there.
Frank's bag.
If you have the geek room in there, then axe throwing is an obvious go-to. But I'm thinking there needs to be something that gets them to compete with one another that has them live in a house together. And I'm not quite sure how to make that work, but we'll figure it out. This needs to be done.
Well, yeah, but I like in-house surveillance systems are cheap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know a guy.
We can get this done for about $400. We have 3 so far.
But then I broke. What are you talking about?
You're in
a GoFundMe page.
We're going to give you some points in the production. It'll be good. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is an investment opportunity.
Yeah.
I took
$3. This is
low budget filmmaking is what I.
And I'll chip in another $4.
This is definitely.
Yeah. Well, then you're our biggest investor so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you in a honey wagon. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll change my name on Twitter. That's the best. That's the best you're going to get out of me.
Share.
I don't give a shit.
You got to get in touch with Mike, and you got to get in touch with his actual name's escaping me, Dragon, and all the people that have the housewives sort of thing, and you got to get in touch with them. We got to put this together. This would be huge.
I do have a bone to pick with you. Why am I not a usual suspects? Put me in this shit.
I thought I did.
No, listen.
I'm not in there.
No, you don't understand, Ocean. You don't understand the fucking.
Is it atheist only? What is this bullshit?
No, you don't understand what you're getting into. Neil was showing you a kindness. Neil was like, "I'm gonna be."
And there are people.
No. I want to see this. I want to see Ocean and Randolph.
Oh God.
Oh Lordy. Yeah.
Oh God.
Is this gonna be bad?
Babies are just parasites.
Awesome. Why everybody involved?
Explain this to me. Explain this to me.
Randolph is a friend of mine. He lives in my neck of the woods. He was actually at my jam last night. Okay. He's the founder of Canadian Atheists here in Vancouver.
We'll get along swimmingly.
Oh, dude, I don't have I don't have a doubt in my mind because he's actually a really reasonable guy.
Okay.
He's got a few opinions. Okay, and we were just
opinions can be fine.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
All right, let me add you.
I have opinions too.
It's just, what's going on here is Duke and him and Ansgar were having words the other day. I just found out about this, and I think Duke, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I think there were some, because of your recent things that happened, that there were some emotions involved in that.
Because of something I did?
No. This has nothing to do with you, Ocean. Oh. This was a topic that can often be quite
volatile.
Well, yes, well, that's a good word, we'll say. And
what's the topic?
Abortion.
Oh.
Okay, so. Oh wow! Is that ever weird? Because I went to add you to the group, and your name is the first one to pop up.
Well, that's because spiritual. That's a spiritual experience right there.
That's Thor.
Oh man!
All right, you're in
deny it now.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go buy a Mjolnir necklace.
I am now an Atheo-pagan.
Crush this shit.
Atheo-pagan. Yes, I love that word. That is so awesome.
Some Atheo-pagan.
I've got to check out, guys. I've got kids and crap and everything running around the back of the house. I've got to sort out. But I've had a blast, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it was great to have an interview, man, and get to know you a little better. That's part of the reason why I do these, so I can get to know the people that I become friends with on Twitter a little bit better. And you're awesome, dude. And I'm coming down there to ride that fucking bike you put together one day. Then they can actually call me a biker at that point.
No worries.
See you later,
fellas.
All right, cheers, brother. Thanks again.
See you, mate.
I just missed out though. See you, Dave.
Oh,
see you, mate. Sorry. Yeah, I can't hang around any longer. Sorry, mate.
That's okay. You got shit to do. Take it easy, brother. Wait,
all right.
Ocean, you can't. I just added you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it for whatever reason.
Strange.
You need to add me correctly.
Like a professional, Neil.
Oh, never mind. I screwed up. My bad.
There it is.
There you go. That was my bad. My bad. A couple too many beers, probably. I rushed through things when I've had a couple. A couple. This is like number 3. So, correction, was number 3.
It's gonna. You guys are gonna be depressed when I shave my beard.
No. I do it all the time. I don't shave it all the way off, but I'll take it down to like.
Oh no, I don't shave
really
it all the way
low.
off. I'm not a heretic. Shave it all the way off. Crazy.
I take it down with like a 1 every once in a while because it just gets on my nerves.
Yeah, I do that too.
I couldn't imagine
fucking different when I do.
Everyone, it's funny because for a longest time, if I shaved all my facial hair off, everyone would look at me and go, "Dude, you look like you're fucking 12." Well, thank you, but but that's what I would get all the time, especially my roommate Leanne, who's in the other room. Her and I dated back in the day, and I used to have like just a mustache or a goatee or something at the time. And once in a while, I shave it off, and she'd be like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, you don't even look like you anymore." So I couldn't imagine you guys looking like I know you to look with.
You've seen me with no facial hair.
I have.
Yeah, when I posted that awful fucking picture of myself with the blonde hair.
Oh, that was terrible. He repressed that memory for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you were lucky enough, you would have seen my avatar with a picture of a younger me in it without any facial hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I look like I'm about 16 if I shave. So.
Yeah.
Actually, I got like the best thing the other day. I was working in my hometown at the hospital, and I was like, yeah, we're talking to the girls. I was like, I've got 2 kids. And they were like, you have 2 kids? I was like, yeah. They're like, how old are they? Well, I was like, well, my son is 18. They were like, how the fuck old are you? I was like, I'm almost 41. They're like, I would have guessed 30. And I was like, oh, I fucking love you. I'm going to dance at your fucking wedding. God damn.
It's a little harder now for me because everything's going gray, obviously. But the longest time, people never guessed my age. They always usually went about 10 years younger than I actually am. So I was like,
meanwhile,
37.
Meanwhile, my ex-wife looks like a fucking train wreck. It's beautiful.
God damn it.
Like, I showed up. I hadn't seen her in like 2 years because my sister would always run up and get my kid because I was always working. And I had to go up and get my kid. And I saw her and I was like, oh my God, you've gained like 40 pounds and your face looks like fucking trash and you look terrible. And
oh, you're really nice.
This is the best thing ever.
Did you say that to her?
No.
He's like, oh my God, look at you. You're fucking you're fat and ugly now. It's great.
She's not listening now, is she?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's like, I don't think she knows. Like, she's one of the reasons why I have a moniker instead of my name. Because she's a stalker. But then on top of that, like,
oh, great.
Great.
Because she's
not just that. Like, early on, like when I first started my Twitter thing up, it was under my name and I had a picture of myself. And I got some really weird people. Like, I got like 2 ladies from different states that were just like strange. They were like sliding into my DMs. Like,
were they after you?
Yeah, weird. Like, are you talking to women? I was like, sometimes. Sometimes I'm talking to men. Why are you asking me these things? Like, and they got really strange. So I said, maybe
they're
this
beautiful men, aren't they?
Usually, but I rarely slum it with dudes because I don't have to.
Wait, so are you telling me all those things you told me while we were cuddling are lies?
Oh.
No, he would never lie to you, just the other boys.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine then.
No, you're good as long as you let me comb your beard. We're fine.
I mean, that's the whole fucking game.
Hey, look, having somebody else comb your beard is fantastic.
Shiny for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can actually, I can agree with that because when I actually did have a full beard, it was very brief, mind you, but having somebody comb it was pretty chill. It was pretty awesome.
It only takes one hand to comb it.
That is true.
The other hand could be combing something else.
That's why the experience is so awesome.
That's right.
I thought that was implicit.
Oh, you know what? I meant to ask you, how was your experience doing the Truth Wanted show with
Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I'm like, I enjoyed it overall. I think Dan and I get along.
Oh, Dan's a great guy, and he says he was going to come on and do an interview with me, but he was in the process of starting to move, so I'm giving him a little bit of time, then I'll bug him again. But
just send him messages in all caps; he'll respond.
In all caps, okay.
That's the secret.
Is that right? Okay, that's
all.
all.
Send the messages in all caps.
Him and Jimmy too. Jimmy said he'd come on too, but I still have to bug him a little bit more. Plus, he plays Yu-Gi-Oh like I do, so I'm trying to get him to join.
Is that like the Caps Lock Christian thing? Whatever happened to that guy? Is he still around?
He's around, but he's taking a bit of a breather.
Oh, okay. He's one of my favorites. Yeah, somebody once thought that I was him.
Really?
Whoever
he is, man,
is a fucking genius.
Yeah, he's a fucking genius.
He made me want to do a Caps Lock Pagan, but I couldn't find a way to make that controversial.
Yeah, he was saying some shit.
Well, do it anyways.
Like I used to tweet him out. And be like, "This is Caps Lock Atheist. He's a satire. Caps Lock Christian. He's a satire account. If you go after him with atheist apologetics, we're all laughing at you. Like, just stop." And at some point, I'm not going to say the lady's name, but there was a very nice lady that I'm very fond of got into apologetics with him, and I was like, he's a satire account. He's not. He's actually an atheist. And she was like, "Are you Caps Lock Christian?" I was like, "No."
She thought it was you. Right?
Yeah, she did. I was like, "No, that's not me." I can't take. I wish I'd thought of that fucking idea, especially when he did the, behind the fucking shift key shit.
yeah. Behind the shift key.
It's fucking genius.
Ocean, if you do Caps Lock Pagan, I swear I'll do Caps Lock Jew.
Jeez, what the fuck?
Well, that's how I was raised. So
Havanakaila.
That's not the song.
You'd have to make a bunch of Zionist shit.
Yeah,
that's how that would work.
Yeah, Caps Lock Zionist. Yeah,
Caps Lock Zionist.
I was never a Zionist either.
Israel is the true Israel in all caps.
Yeah.
I don't feel like dealing with the backlash from
build a wall, in Jerusalem.
What do you mean? There's already one there.
Build a wall. The fact there's a wall there doesn't stop me from chanting. Fuck off.
They're going to build a wall on both ends now.
Oh God, Ocean, your deadpan fucking style of delivery is amazing.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Thanks.
I had to be all hyperbolic and shit to be funny. You just do it. The fuck? Now I'm jealous. Now I'm just jealous and shit. Fucking Godless Cranium gets me like that. Like, all the people on fucking Twitter. Like, I've had my snark fucking contests with fucking Inane Dragon, and we come out basically even. Mike beats me every fucking time. Every fucking time. I'm just like, you fucking cunt. You're the king of this shit. I don't even know why. Like, you're the only person I know on Twitter that I'm punching out of my fucking weight class with. I'm like fucking Woody Allen fighting with Brock Lesnar. It's fucking
Woody Allen and Brock Lesnar. There's a fight I'd actually like to see. It'd be quick.
Yeah, it would be really quick. Do you ever see the thing like Joe Rogan said about Brock Lesnar, where it's like when you're standing next to him, there's a part of you that realizes, like, if he wanted to fuck you, he just could. It's like, there's just not a lot you can do about it.
Nope. Actually, there's probably a few people you could probably say that about.
So if resistance is futile.
Yeah.
Like Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Anyone in there, like even GSP, any of those guys.
Oh, God. GSP's a fucking monster.
Yeah, I know.
I've always been a fan of his, and, like, it's funny because, like, he used to not have stopping power. Like, he used to not be able to stop guys in fights. He used to take them to the distance most of the time. Mm-hmm. And then he, like, that last fight he had, I don't remember who it was against.
Oh, that was a while back, dude. He hasn't been in the ring.
The British guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
J.K. Rowling just revealed something new.
What did she reveal?
Yeah. She revealed that you, the reader, were gay all along.
Oh, what?
Well, that was true.
Shit.
That was true.
I didn't even know until now.
How did J.K. Rowling know that I dabble in dick?
That's the Hard Times headline. That's tickle me fucking great.
That's hilarious.
Ocean, I'm going to warn you right now. There are going to be times when you're going to want to mute the group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
just
pretty
for,
much.
Listen. You cannot turn your back on this fucking group. What are those?
I do it all the time, dude. I
what are those fucking?
when I'm at work.
What are those fucking angels? What are those angels from Doctor Who?
That are active,
you know Doctor Who?
Like
Doctor Who, the angels.
What's Doctor Who?
The angels in Doctor Who.
I don't.
You know the angels in Doctor Who, where like they're statues, and if you turn their back on them, they move.
Blinking angel.
What's Doctor Who?
Oh crap!
You're dead to me, Ocean.
I'm just kidding,
dude.
You don't even joke like that.
That's what that fucking DM group is. That's what that DM group is. Like you turn your back on it for 2 seconds, and it fucking changes on you.
He's not joking. Like I'll go like take a piss, and I'll come back and they'll say 230 messages later. I'm like, what? How can you fucking people talk that quickly? And type, dude,
I'm a blistered typist. I will go pretty quickly. But
dude, like, one second it'll be bunnies, and then it'll be dildos, then butt sex, and then we're talking about
I'm part of a polytheist chat that has the same laws of physics applied to it. Like it doesn't. I created it. I've been adding polytheists to it every once in a while, and it's just been like, what the fuck? We'll just do this. And the conversation in there is awesome. It traverses all kinds of territory.
I want to be a part of that chat.
That's
You're not a fucking polytheist. But
what about X?
You're not a fucking atheist.
Is that what usual suspects are? Is it a fucking atheist chat? If it is, I can get the fuck out.
No, it's not. No, listen. It's whoever.
Right, there you go.
People that are allowed in there are people that I like.
Hey, but do you allow atheo-pagans into your polytheist chat?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm thinking about that. It's like, should I throw in like Russ and them? And it's just like, because they get along with everybody.
That's the main thing. As long as people get along, there's not going to be.
Yeah. That's kind of my standard right now. But I haven't added any atheo-pagans to it yet. But it's a good little group.
Okay, well, I'm an atheo-pagan.
Fucking.
You're either a LARPer or a JP fanatic. Get out of here, dude.
And Evan knows my arguments against atheo-pagans, where it's like it's basically Jordan Peterson polytheism.
Yes.
I had a knockdown drag out with Russ the other night. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You should check it out.
What? On publicly?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's on Twitter.
On the Twitters.
Yeah, on atheo-paganism.
So you guys tweeted. I got to read this.
Well, I think he actually deleted the original tweet. I went ham on him. I'm like, this is just stupid.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any damn sense.
Got angry and ran away. So Russ can be temperamental. So
I'm scrolling through your tweets and replies right now, trying to see if I can.
That's a mixed bag.
It's glorious.
Yeah, I'm seeing all kinds of stuff.
Glorious.
You respond to SJ too much. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on a second. Let's see.
My God. Don't give that woman a platform.
Yeah, but see, I get more followers. Whenever I respond to SJ, like clockwork, I'll gain 5 or 6 people.
I've noticed that. Whenever I retweet something of hers and I say, hey, this is stupid and here's why, all of a sudden my likes go through the roof and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if my follower count starts to stagnate, I'll pick a fight with, if I tweeted SJ, it just ticks right up.
That's why we want to keep her on there, is that like she's got more atheist followers than half the internet.
Well, see, the interesting thing, because like any of the rest of them, you're using the person that's using you, because she says this inflammatory shit just to draw traction, and I've decided that I can pick up on that. Like, so I just go post some angry bullshit, and then
you agreed with me on the chart.
Yeah, no, that chart's so fucking dumb, dude. Oh my God. Oh,
did you see my chart? Like my fucking thread on that shit? I posted like 20 posts.
Are you talking about the one where where everything falls off in fucking Christian Dark Ages?
Yeah, I want to pull my beard out.
Yeah.
I saw that, and like the bad thing about it is that dude wrote a freaking book called Beyond the Crusades. Like, so, like, what kind of scholarship went into that bullshit?
The fuck? And he posted that?
Yes. So I was thinking about, because it's got good reviews and things like that, I was thinking about picking up his book because it was like post-Crusade Christianity. And but then he posted that chart, like it was sitting on my wish list. He posted that chart, and I was like, what a fucking knob. This guy like wrote the Zeitgeist movie or something. I mean, fuck's sake. That's the stupid.
That my boss's brother is in one of those fucking Zeitgeist movies.
I just found it. I follow certain gods, rituals, and traditions. I have an altar, but I'm not religious. Do you even fucking hear yourself right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to preface my commentary on this with I love the fuck out of Russ.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Me and Russ get along.
He's a good fucking dude.
Yeah, but he's wrong.
But that's just stupid.
You can look to Jesus as an archetype of sacrifice. So yeah, that's Jordan Peterson. That's what he fucking does.
Yeah.
I don't know if he does that specifically, but he looks to God as like the
well. He looks at Jesus as the ultimate archetype of all the archetypes, which is a really weird stance to take. Yeah,
he can't be all the what. Yeah. So is
yeah. Well, he didn't actually read Jung. He
understands
closely.
that the trickster is an archetype, right? So is Jesus
no,
the trickster?
That's not one that we like.
What? He said he was all the archetypes.
Look. The thing about Peterson, because I've spent an extensive amount of time following
Jung
Peterson.
and just like punching him in the face.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's a Jungian revisionist.
Well,
it's like,
yeah, we'd have to be in order to combine any archetypes.
Yeah, he would consider Jesus the archetypical archetype. So the culmination. Yeah, and he said as much too. And I was like, wow, did you actually read Jung? You know, like
I've read all kinds of Jung.
Yeah, exactly.
I look at Jung all the time.
Yeah, and
it's my particular pursuit of reading is that I read Jung and then I interpret it in my own way by making up everything.
Yep,
that's what I do.
Yeah, he could really do with like some Joseph Campbell and stuff.
I enjoy Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell. I was inside of a
I love Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell's awesome.
I actually have Occidental mythology sitting right over there.
Yeah, no, he's I've got most of. I'm working on his entire collection actually.
Because I'm gonna step out for a quick smoke, so I'm gonna join you guys on my phone.
I'm trying to. I don't know. Like I like Frank and I like Russ. I don't get it.
It seems to me it's like. It's almost like I said it in the comments. It's like I want to call myself an atheo-Christian, not because I value the character of Jesus or follow the Bible or think that anything's right. It's like because I enjoy celebrating Christmas and I like cross necklaces. Like
you can enjoy celebrating Christmas and not have to be a Christian. You know
that's my point. Like because I enjoy the myths, particularly the Greco-Roman.
Just call it Saturnalia.
Yeah, and so to me, to extract wisdom from these ancient stories, right? You don't have to identify with any particular subset of them. Like that seems.
Right. Well, it's like we were talking about with Marcus Aurelius, because when you and I were talking about this, like Marcus Aurelius is a great example of that. Like he's a great guy that you could look to, but you don't
have to be a Roman polytheist in order to consider his writings valuable.
Yeah, and even you don't have to, like, I've got a copy of the Havamal, but I don't have to. I can read that and extract wisdom from the words that were written down without saying, "Oh, I follow Odin," right? And I don't believe whether or not I believe that he like literally exists. It just doesn't. It's like.
Here's an atheo-paganism that I can understand. So if you read the Havamal and you say, "Well, this is some ancient wisdom that I'm going to take to heart and be inspired by it," and you want to wear a Mjolnir because you see it's a representation of strength.
Yep.
That's an atheo-paganism that I can understand. But when it gets into like having an altar and conducting ritual and a lot of these things that are like based around having a relationship with the gods, that's where I get confused. Because from like a polytheist standpoint, I think I brought this up to Frank. It's like if you have an altar and you're conducting ritual at it, the whole point of the altar and conducting ritual is that you're engaging in a gifting cycle with the gods. if you don't believe the gods exist, then you're only doing the receiving. You're not actually gifting, because you can't gift to that which you don't think is there.
That's right.
Therefore, you're just taking, which if you're, it kind of screws up the whole, like,
It's almost
energy of it. Like it becomes a fundamentally different thing when you're just saying, well, I'm not engaging with anything, but I'm engaging in ritual for me. Like it just becomes selfish endeavor and like masturbatory.
But it's almost like you're not engaging with anything, but you're engaging with something.
Right, you're engaging with an archetype that you don't believe the archetype. It's even from a Platonist perspective, they don't think that the archetype exists. They don't think that it has like form, exterior. It's just like something that's in the mind. And the other thing that I can understand about it is if you're using it to connect yourself with your culture, I can get that. Like if you want to, like, you know, so for example, if you're you know, a Black American and you get a tattoo of like some Vodun symbol or something like that, then you're like, you know, reaching out to your heritage in that way, in a way that's like, you know, you're getting a representation of your past there. And to an extent, I can understand some people doing that with the Norse stuff as an atheist and being like, I've got a hammer of Thor because I like what that symbol means and all that.
Well, I mean, culture and religion are, the further you go back, the more intertwined they are.
Oh, like, of course, you know,
of course. It's so I totally get that. Like you pay homage to your culture, and in doing so, you're paying homage to their religious beliefs, right?
But then you're doing ritual.
Yeah, but
that's,
whenever you
like hold these gods and like, I don't know, it's like I've read books that I thought had like a profound experience when I read the books, but I don't think that the characters in the books are worth doing ritual to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's my point too, because in Brandon Sanderson books, like, and Robert Jordan are specifically like that for me. Like the Stormlight Archives has a lot of profound philosophical meaning, you know, to me, and certain quotes in there, like I have plastered on my walls and things, because like it's incredibly meaningful. But that doesn't mean that I believe that, you know, that I need to pay homage to Dalinar Kholin, you know, who is a character in the book. It just, I don't know. It doesn't.
In fairness, though, I think that, like, you know, you get Star Wars fans that have altars of a kind where they have, like, you know, marquettes, I think, or whatever, like little models of maquettes or whatever the fuck it is, with like little models of characters as such that they have inspired them in some way, and they, you know, they keep it clean and all that shit. But do they do ritual in front of it? Do they think that Luke Skywalker is an archetype that they need to pay on? Like it's like when you put it in the context of Star Wars, where it's like, oh, I'm making an offering to Princess Leia today. Like that doesn't,
because you would conceptualize the Nora. At least I would conceptualize.
They're archetypes.
The pantheon is archetypes in the same way that I would conceptualize Luke Skywalker as, but I don't feel the need to perform ritual to, you know, Shallan Devar or whoever, whatever story you find meaningful. That's where it gets like, if I view these things in the same way that I view Star Wars and Sanderson novels and things like that, like, I don't know, it seems like it best it's some sort of weird LARPing, and at worst it's Jordan Petersonizing. Yeah, there you go. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah,
there you go.
Jordan Petersonization.
Of
Odin and Thor.
Of Odin and Thor, like,
or other gods. I mean, like what I've found with, like Frank and Russ specifically, to speak well of them, they are really curious. They do like come to me with questions, and they want to engage on the issue respectively, right? Like respectively, like they want to do it with respect. And
respectably.
Whatever word, however you do that, that's what they want to do. And like, you know, they come to me for sources, and I'll give them some sources and stuff like that. So I can, and I have them both in my polytheism server, which is like an education server, because it's like they're both like asking me all these questions, like just come in and learn from other polytheists, and they've been engaging with respect in there as well. And but there's a lot of people in there that also don't get it. Like they're like, why? Like we're here because we believe that we're engaging with something that's spiritual, that we have these experiences that we find value in, that we want to explore further, and that this tradition is one way that we do that. With atheopaganism, I don't understand the inspiration to actually engage in ritual and with these stories and in the way that we do doesn't, like, the argument doesn't seem to be there for atheopaganism to me. Like, unless they have some kind of spiritual experience that they dismiss, but they're still exploring or something like that. But I don't think that's what they're doing either. I think it's more about, like, I can't speak to what the inspiration is, other than that they like the culture of it.
And that's why I kept asking why. Like, why are you doing this? Was my initial, like, what prompts you to do that? And I haven't gotten an answer from either one of them yet that actually explains, like, the motivations behind, you know, Frank's not as into it, at least the explanations that he's given me.
Frank started a channel about it.
Yeah, he started a channel about it.
He hasn't made an altar, though.
Yeah, his thing is, you know, I like the holidays and I find inspiration in these stories, but it's not like I'm, you know, and Russ just like, I follow this specific set of gods and I have an altar and I'm going to do rituals at the altar and things like that. That just, like, what? I just can't wrap my head around that.
I've seen his altar because there's a, he might have just been inspired by the pictures of altars that are in my pagan Discord, because there's a, in there's like a website and some sources about how to build altars and what, like what traditional use of them is and all that stuff.
You and your filthy heathen ways.
I know. I fucking know. And I posted, like, there's Etsy links and up to statues and statuary and stuff that people want to put on their altars and things like that. Some of them are more historical, some are more artistic. And everybody posts, you know, little pictures and stuff like that. And it's a good little support community. And maybe he was just inspired by that. That this is part of what we do. But at the same time, like, I get into questions about, well, if you're an atheist, why the altar?
Yeah.
What are you using it for? Is it like a meditation focus? Because if so, it's not an altar. It's just a focus. An altar, to me, implies that you're communing with something exterior rather than something internal. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the altar is where you go to meet your deity, or right. At least that's the way that it was conceptualized. Whenever I was a Pentecostal,
it's a space like in the house for the gods. That's what.
Yeah, you go to your altar as a physical manifestation of meeting your
right.
In this case, it would be God or the Holy Spirit. You know, right. as a not a focus point, but as a point for exchange.
Right.
And so, and that's the way that I conceptualize altars, whether they be, you know, Christian, like, you know, we had a prayer room in the house that had an altar, and that's what it was used for.
Right.
So
very pagan thing to do, but like, you get Catholics with shrines and stuff like that. There's a friend of mine, I took ballet in high school, and my ballet teacher, as I was over at her house at one point, instructor, I guess, she's very Catholic. And she had a giant shrine to Mary that was 8 feet tall in the foyer. Like, you know, like, that's how Catholic she was. And I remember looking at that and just being like, that's intense. But, you know, like, as a pagan, you have a little thing like that. And I think that for her, that was a place of exchange. It wasn't it wasn't like a focus for her meditation. I think she saw it in a very literal religious way, that this is where she would give her respects to Mary, you know? This is her showing respect to Mary by even keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Mary was 8 feet tall.
Well, the shrine is 8 feet tall. There was some statuary and a piece of art, and there was it's like some candles and stuff like that. Whatever, like there's a number of things that Catholics use for that kind of thing. They're very pagan Catholics. But you know, that's what she had and what she was doing. It was like definitely like this is how she's using this space in her home to respect Mary. She's keeping this space in her home to respect Mary, and that's what she's using that spot for. But when it's an atheist doing that, I don't get it as much.
No, I don't get it either.
I guess I'd love for Russ to explain. Did in his conversation with you, did he explain why he has an altar? What was his reasoning?
Essentially, it briefly, because I think I answered at some point, asked why the altar, and it was it seemed like he was using it as a meditation focus. It was like I'm gonna, because he says he's gonna have one at his house and then one that he travels with, and
dude, I don't even have a traveling altar yet.
Yeah, well, you're clearly you need to catch up. The Atheist.
I know, right? I need to take my religion as seriously as an Atheist pagan.
It's not a religion. It's not a religion.
Oh shit!
I mean,
we're burning Russ so hard.
I wish he was in here. That way I could burn him even harder.
We're burning him so hard.
No, I mean this is just kind of the atheo-paganism in general, though. At least the few that I've run across, because
there's two that I know and respect. The rest of them I'm even more confounded by, because they don't they're like the thing that, and like I don't want to have this conversation and just burn Russ and Frank, because I like both of them a lot and I keep saying that, but they're willing to engage with respect. The thing that I run into trouble with the most with atheo-pagans is that they don't want to do even that. They want to say, well, the polytheists are the ones that are fucked up. They're the ones that are engaging in communication with their imaginary friends. And when there was a book that I sent to Frank when he was interested in atheo-paganism, there's a book called Godless Paganism by John Halstead, I believe his name is. And in there, a lot of them admit that they're just pretty much engaging with imaginary friends. So that criticism to me comes off as projection, that it's not they think that we're engaging with imaginary friends, or saying that the imaginary friends are real, when that's all that they're doing. They're not actually having what they see as a spiritual experience. They don't recognize it as being exterior to them.
Spiritual experience. If you view them as nothing more than archetypes, then you're literally engaging with something that you believe to be your imaginary.
Right, you're creating it.
Yeah,
you would be believing that whatever spiritual experience you have is self-created.
It's self-created and comes from an imaginary friend. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Right. That's what all that they're doing is engaging with an imaginary friend. If they have an altar and that they're using it as a meditation spot, what is that other than engaging with an imaginary friend?
Yeah. Or engaging with yourself.
Or I mean, I guess if it's, I don't know. I
mean, that. I at least from my experience in meditation, that's what I do. I engage with myself. So,
yeah. And like a lot of people do that with meditation. It's engaging with yourself and your body and attuning yourself to it. And that makes a lot of sense, but
and perhaps borrowing from these ideas to bolster your self-confidence.
Right.
Well, the problem that I see with it is that, one, you're saying that you're going to follow this specific set of ideas, or these specific gods.
To move next door to it real quick before we jump onto that I do want to say that I respect the hell out of those two guys, because they're engaging in respect with respect to polytheism. And even Frank is saying that he disagrees with a lot of the atheo-pagan community that they need to basically shit on other polytheists, people that actually believe in the gods. So from that perspective, it's just like, all right, well, you guys are like a cut above, and I'm happy to have you guys hang out with us and all that shit and participate in stuff and activities with us and all that shit, because you're not trying to undermine anything.
Well, no, there's no hard feelings. There's no hard feelings towards them. Right. Not from here.
I mean, Russ and I are
there's no point where I'm saying that,
But as I've said several times already, I don't get it.
I just don't get it.
Yeah,
that's my problem.
And I want to get it. I guess I'm trying to understand it, but even Godless Iowan saying you sound like an apologist.
No, because he was. I mean, he wasn't doing a very good job of explaining where he was at, especially whenever you're maintaining that these things aren't religious. Like, that just blows my mind.
You described his take to me, and immediately my first take was that's religious.
Yeah, you follow certain gods, you observe rituals.
Atheopaganism's a religion. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's real.
I'm not gonna. Don't say it's not a religion.
Yeah,
it's just because it's atheistic. It's definitely a religion.
Yeah, it is.
I think
in the same way that Satanism is a religion.
Yeah, that's
even
a religion.
Though it's an atheistic religion, which I've always found that to be kind of like, for lack of a better way to say it, silly. At least from my standpoint. I get it. I get it. Do your thing, but I just don't want a part of it. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'd have to talk, because I'm seeing them in this thread saying that it's not a religion, and I disagree vehemently with that. It's definitely a religion.
I just wanted to say real quick to welcome Purple Rhymes with Orange into the chat as well.
What's up, Purple?
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange. I have yet to even come close to being able to grasp it.
But if they're saying if they're using atheopagan as a way to avoid being religious, then they need to not do that, because it's definitely religious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
as soon as you're engaging with ritual for spiritual endeavors, that's religion.
They're being disingenuous at that point.
And if you want to be atheistic or follow an atheistic religion, more freaking power to you.
Yeah, Taoism and Buddhism are definitely out there. You could
there's no, and older sects of Hinduism were atheistic, and so you can it just blind. Is it such a negative connotation around religion that you just don't want to be associated with that word?
Right.
Is kind of what it comes off to me. And
and I find that silly.
There's a lot of pagans that are like that, though, silly. Where they want to say that they're spiritual, but they don't want to say that they're religious.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? Yeah, they believe in gods and they conduct ritual. But
everyone's got a different idea of what spiritualism is too.
Yeah, I think the problem comes in, how do you define spiritual? How do you define religion? How do you define meditation?
I think that one of the problems is that a lot of the pagans that I know that don't like the word religion is that they think of religion as that it needs to be evangelical, and that you need to start convincing people to come into it because you believe that it's entirely correct and that there's no other way. And that I understand, and because that's what a lot of people, that's the connotation with the word religion, because in our society it's so heavily associated with Christianity. However,
and Islam,
I don't think right. But just because we're not evangelical doesn't mean that we aren't religious. Evangelical, it's not the necessary component of religion, I don't think.
Okay, I came into atheism from 25 years of being a solitary pagan.
When you say pagan, what do you mean? When you say solitary, it makes me almost automatically think of
independent practicing.
Yeah,
I was solitary pagan for about 10 years before I started.
Yeah, I never joined any kind of group. I didn't follow any established tradition. I did my rituals based on whatever I felt was appropriate for the particular occasion or whatever I was working for.
Yeah, similar to me at the time.
And that's, I hadn't even heard the term atheopagan until Russ started throwing it around. But apparently that's what I was doing for 20 years.
You didn't believe in the gods at that point?
I never saw the gods as being actual, entities unto themselves. I saw the images and, just as a symbol set we could use to communicate with each other what we were believing.
But what was it that you were believing?
Most of the time it was more along the lines of the Gaia force, that I didn't believe in any sentient gods, but I did kind of believe in the the sense of a universal energy, and that just using the image of a god, we could focus some of this energy toward a cause.
It does seem like it's a belief in the supernatural, but maybe not.
Yeah,
like,
well,
you didn't believe that there was
was
an agency to
yeah.
it, right? You thought that
there
it
was definitely a supernatural aspect to it at that point, yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it as being a separate intelligent being. I just saw it as I was the only intelligence involved. I was just focusing the energy.
Okay. So maybe belief in magic, but not belief in gods. There's like a lot of there's people that are like atheist witches, that hold to something that's similar to that. But I think that you're in that belief set. You're going further than Russ is. I don't think that Russ believes in magic either, or any kind of like universal energy.
Yeah, well, I don't anymore. That was.
I'm talking about as an atheopagan. Is like a lot of times atheopagans are physicalists. They do like they're physicalists or naturalists. Like they're not they don't believe in any form of supernatural, including magic. Even atheists that are that conduct a kind of magic like you were describing, they don't consider themselves necessarily atheists, because they do consider that force to be a god of some kind, even though it may not have agency. So they don't consider themselves atheists. They consider themselves witches, and that seems to be enough. They don't really they don't really adopt a label of theist of any kind. If they do, it's like apatheist or something like that. They're not interested in the debate.
Okay, well,
or even agnostic.
The group that I was hung around with, the community in Minnesota, basically witch was used specifically to refer to Wiccans and no one else.
Yeah. Independent practitioners come in all kinds of varieties.
Yeah, but I mean, it was specifically, the Wiccans who practiced a Celtic-based mythology. Anyone who followed any other mythology was not considered a witch.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
So, but I do know, there are some Celts that consider themselves witches. I know some that consider themselves druids. I also know some Wiccans that are more eclectic, and they're not following. There's definitely a lot of Celtic inspiration. Whenever you find an eclectic Wiccan, there's Celtic influence all over it. But sometimes they're not necessarily God believing, but they do believe in magic, and that's their Wicca. So they're witches, and they might identify with Wicca, and they might have Celtic inspiration from it, but they don't believe in gods. But that wouldn't be an atheopagan. That would be a witch.
Yeah.
With atheopagans, they tend to not even have that. They're very Jordan Peterson / Joseph Campbell approach to mythology. More often than not, Joseph Campbell rather than.
Yes, I'm seeing right here that just a lot of this is coming into definitions already, and just it may be a regional thing or something, but just I knew hundreds of pagans in Minnesota,
right,
and they all pretty much held to this thing that it was only the people following a Wiccan path were witches. If you were following a Norse or Egyptian or some other mythology, you weren't a witch.
Like Rosicrucians or something.
I'm surprised by that, but it might be that there's a generational difference, I guess, because a lot of there's people a lot of witches that I know actually follow Egyptian deities.
Mm-hmm. I dabbled into that myself too.
Well, yeah, Bath, if you went back to if you go back to goth, just the gothic movement of the early '80s, that was based heavily around Egyptian myth.
So I think that it's interesting. I can see how the definitions that you're using would have developed, especially in a localized area. But a lot of the things with pagan definitions as well is that none of them are heavily developed, because there's barely any scholastic study on us. There's no survey data on us.
Mm-hmm.
And So what is considered orthodoxy or orthopraxy between us is varied as hell. Like whether or not white marsh heathens can be considered Germanic polytheists in a Reconstructionist sense. That's a lot of words that I just threw out. But there's like a particular form of people that worship Thor and Odin as exterior deities, but the way that they practice is extremely ahistorical. But they consider themselves Reconstructionists, which means that they're inspired by history. So but their research is bad. So are they Reconstructionist? That definition, we don't have any sort of like study around us that actually gives these definitions meaning in a scholastic sense.
And most of the people that I had known, would agree with you that they were, basing this on the mythology, but that there wasn't any really established tradition that went back more than 40 or 50 years.
Yeah. At least at the time that you're talking about 25 years ago. Because with Gardner was what?
Late
early
60s.
Yeah. I want to say started either late 50s and going into the 60s. And then Crowley he's inspired by Crowley, and then you get LaVey, who's inspired by Gardner. And then LaVey is basically atheopaganism. LaVey and Satanism is an atheopaganism approach to Satan, which confuses me even further. It's like you're taking but Satanism, you have all the same arguments with Satanism.
Yeah.
As far as atheopaganism, it's like, well, why? Seems like you're just a really big fan of Satan, and not the Christian interpretation of him, but your own interpretation of him.
Yeah, and that's one of the things just in the last year of seeing the atheist slant on Satanism's makes sense of a lot of the arguments I heard about it as a pagan that didn't make sense then.
So you had pagans that were objecting to Satanism?
Oh, yeah. Pretty much, again, in the community I was in, it was pretty much universal that Satanism was a branch of Christianity because you were using the Christian mythos.
Yeah, I can see that.
Interesting.
There's criticisms of Celtic polytheism, or at least Wicca, in the Satanic Bible, where LaVey says that he believes that his criticism of Wiccans is that they just remove God from Christianity, but they still believe in all the same things. Like they believe in a Christian set of morality, they believe in a Christian set of sexuality, they believe in a Christian set of like all these things. And maybe at that time it was true.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily think that I identified anything really other than maybe that Christianity had taken from the old pagan Wiccan system, taken some of their rituals.
He was specifically concerned with the rejection that Wiccans did not reject good and evil in the Christian sense. That was his main point.
Okay, the point about the sexuality, no,
yeah, I disagree with that too, but I'm not sure what was going on in pagan circles in the 50s.
Shit, I practiced sex magic back in the day, so
it's great, isn't it?
Okay. Well,
oh yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, all the Wiccans were pretty much into sex magic was part of the rituals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wish I could go back to those days. Sometimes.
But
not so much for the magic, but you know what I mean.
I mean, the sex, it's fun, but
yeah,
exactly. Shit.
We just derailed.
Let's get back on the train tracks.
Well, when people call me a whore, I have to clarify that I'm a slut. A whore's a professional. For me, it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
I don't get paid. Fuck.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. They're all like, geez, maybe I should go and do some self-satisfaction here with all this talk about sex.
I've got a wife in the next room.
Yeah, well,
yeah, self-satisfaction. What's that?
I wish. The area I live in, I can't even risk dating. I'm related to more than half the county within 3 or 4 generations. It's just not worth the risk.
Depending on where you're in, or depending on where you're at, I mean, that makes it all the better. Never heard the old adage, closer kin, deeper in? Maybe an Alabama thing.
Yeah, I think that's a southerner thing. That doesn't really fly well in the north.
Come on now.
In the north, they just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
They still do it.
No, they actually do, because I looked up the other day. I was curious to see if the stereotype about incest is actually more prevalent in the South, and I think it's like West Virginia is like the most, and then next is like Indiana or something. So
I would believe Indiana.
It's scattered. It's not centralized.
In Indiana, they think the DNA strand is the voice of God because it reflects their family trees so much.
I've heard that argument. Well, a lot of states will restrict a marriage to a first cousin, but that seems about as far as it goes.
Like when your family tree is a double helix.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what other way could it?
I guess I'm safe because the second cousin is the closest I've ever done. So
that just doesn't mean you're very adventurous. Come on, man. Jeez.
I couldn't even fathom getting it on with any of my cousins. So
apparently, you don't have very attractive cousins.
Well, most of them no. Most of them are a lot older than that. So
well,
there's a few, but
this is terrible. My Southern's coming through in full force.
I'm the youngest of a very large family, so my cousin's daughter was only 2 years younger than I am.
Well, then so maybe there's some hope.
Well, we grew up together as kids and played doctor when we were far too young.
Yeah, see, I did the same thing with the cousins of my own age too. So, yeah. What can I say? Young and stupid, right? Of course, I also did that with the neighborhood girls too. So,
and if you think that this conversation's bad, just go check out The Usual Suspects.
I know. I'm looking at all the gifs.
Oh my goodness! No, what are they up to now?
Nothing good, that's for sure.
Well, look who's in there. Frank's in there.
Yeah.
What is that? Are you referring to the movie night or?
No. This is
I don't even. What are they doing?
Okay, I don't know which channel you're looking at.
I saw a lot of pictures of the Hulk.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
I think it might be time to close this group down.
just shut it down.
I just got here.
Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it open for a little while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to say that correlation equals causation, but Ocean gets here and then this happens.
I'm sorry.
His
Satan guide my cock? What?
What?
Yeah.
I've said that before, to be fair.
At a job interview.
Was that inappropriate?
I probably, yeah.
Oh.
It's like when
that's why
when my dad had the conversation with me about masturbation when I was a kid. He's like, you know what? It's fine, son. It's normal. It's natural. Just not at the dinner table.
Or the grocery store.
Yeah. Can't go back in there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Got booted out. There's another joke like that about something where the wife
Monty Python.
Is that what the wife drops the can of peas?
No. I was just thinking about the penis song where he says, it's perfectly fine. Isn't it great to have a penis? But they'll take it out in public or they'll put you in the dark and you won't come back.
Yeah. Oh, that's from Meaning of Life, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that song. Meaning of Life is like the weirdest Monty Python movie to me.
Yeah.
My favorite is Holy Grail, and I think that's pretty much everybody's favorite. But
yeah.
Holy Grail and Life of Brian.
Yeah, it alternates between Holy Grail and Life of Brian with a lot of people. Just nobody's favorite fucking Monty Python movie is Meaning of Life.
It's my favorite.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It's my favorite movie. It's my favorite. Sorry.
Is Meaning of Life or Life of Brian?
Meaning of Life. Meaning of Life is my favorite movie.
The fuck?
As long as you're not claiming Jabberwocky.
That's it. I'm kicking him out of the group now.
Yeah. Just committed a Monty Python sin.
Yeah. It's a good one, but it's third on my favorites. I mean, then you can go outside of the norm Monty Python.
I still haven't seen A Fish Called Wanda, which is like the unofficial Python. Yeah.
It's fantastic, dude. It's really
good. That's what I've heard.
Fierce Creatures is really good too.
Yes, it is. Oh, and then you could go like really, really sidetrack from Python and go with The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which I think is a handmade film.
I think that my rule with non-Monty Python stuff and counting it as like honorary Python is if John Cleese and Eric Idle are in it, I'll count it.
Oh, I know Eric Idle's in Baron Munchausen. I can't remember if Cleese is. Well, with Fish Called Wanda, you've got Terry Gilliam in it, I think, and John Cleese is in it, and Eric Idle.
Or it needs to be at least two of them. If Terry Gilliam is directing and Eric Idle is in it, then I'll count.
Okay. Well, I think Terry Gilliam directed Munchausen.
Okay.
It's if you haven't seen Adventures of Baron Munchausen, I highly recommend it because
it sounds like a Gilliam movie.
Oh yeah,
it's so out there. It's awesome.
It is a great movie.
Yeah. Robin Williams is King of the Moon. That's fucking brilliant, man. He's floating around with the head. That's just great.
Yeah, he's detachable head.
Yeah.
Do you know about the Lost Python? Or the honorary Python that's considered an honorary Python by most of the other Pythons is Eddie Izzard.
Oh, you're kidding me. I never knew that.
Yeah, he's considered an honorary Python because
he's great.
His comedy, they view, like the Pythons view Eddie Izzard's comedy as close enough, but still an evolution of their style.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thank you for playing Church of England, Cake or Death.
I've watched Eddie Izzard a couple of times because a good friend recommended him, but I never really got into his stuff.
Dude.
Watch Dress to Kill.
Dress to Kill is like one of the greatest fucking stand-ups of all fucking time.
Absolutely. Yes. And the best part about Eddie Izzard's stand-up is that it is probably about 70% improv what you're watching. Mm-hmm. So no two stand-ups of his are going to be exactly the same. They'll have all the same themes if on one tour, but the way that he describes his genre is described as mumbling improv.
Yeah.
That's actually, I can see that for sure.
Where there's bullet points that he goes through, but the rest of it is just a ramble, and it's mostly off the top of his head where he like tries to come up with how to connect all these dots.
Oh God, I told you, dude. Thank you for finding Church of England, Kick or Death. I'll take the vegetarian. Okay, Hitler. Like
Hitler.
Yeah.
Now, see that sounds a lot like you're describing Robin Williams.
Well, he's the same way. Like a lot of his also mostly ad lib.
Yeah, because that's the producers who couldn't work with him were because he kept going off a script.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the problem with Robin Williams is like between the two of them, like Robin Williams got pegged for joke stealing a bit because he would be riffing. He'd be doing his improv thing, and then like he would just pick up and throw something that he'd heard another comedian do in. And he would always apologize for it. He'd come back and make amends for it, but he did that a lot. Whereas Eddie Izzard's shit is entirely...
it is entirely his own.
His shit. Mm-hmm. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Before or after it. Like nobody's been able to fucking do it like him.
True.
Have you got any flags? No
flag. Wait. I claim India for Britain. You can't claim us. It's our fucking country. But do you have a flag?
There's 500 million of us here. We've been here for centuries.
Yeah, we don't have a flag, you bastard. No flag, no country. That's the rules I've just made up. And I'm backing it up with this gun that I borrowed from the National Rifle Association.
Well,
hey, you owe that to us, man. The Americans were the ones who worked out how to mass produce weapons instead of making them one at a time.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Roll Tide. America. MAGA, 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 motherfucker. Build the wall.
We figured out rifled long barrels. And the British were so confused. There's a story about the basically the long rifle and how it won against the Scots. Is the Scots would play bagpipes when they went into battle. It's just, and it was an intimidation tactic. You would hear the bagpipes and like, oh fuck, we're gonna fight the Scots. Those fuckers are good at fighting, so it's like, you know, instead of drums, you'd hear the bagpipes coming, and it's a haunting sound, especially like through fog or some shit. And Andrew Jackson made his military career fighting in one particular battle, fighting against the Scots, where he had a bunch of long rifles, and it was a foggy day as usual, with the Scots coming in, marching in under the cover of fog, and they were playing the bagpipes. Now the long rifle had immense range. So it's like, all right, soldiers, you hear those bagpipes? Shoot in that direction.
Which makes perfect sense if you think about it.
At about the height of a torso, just shoot in that direction.
I have a
the
recurring
Scots
nightmare.
lost so badly.
What's the recurring nightmare?
I have a recurring nightmare of Russia invading Scotland. Accordions versus bagpipes.
Oh, jeez.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, no kidding. If your family tree doesn't branch, you might be a redneck. Yeah, okay. Jeff Foxworthy quote, I guess, was sitting in the
If your family tree is a trunk.
Yeah.
Roll
Is that what it
Tide.
Yeah, you put that in there, Purple. I just noticed that.
Yeah, just Rusty said his family tree was a 2x4, so.
That's good. Well, you guys, you know, I got to get the hell out of here because I got a buddy of mine who's in from Princeton, and he's only going to be here for tonight, so I'm going to go hang out with him for a couple hours.
Go have a drink.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Go have another
It's
one.
good hanging out with y'all.
All right, good night, all.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, guys, I'll be back on Monday with let me just double check here with hang on, with a proud female atheist. She's actually a very, very new atheist. She just got out of fundamentalist Christianity. So I'll be talking with her at 4 p.m. on Monday. So if you're around, come and hang out. I'm not sure. I don't know how she's going to feel about doing an after party. If she's not comfortable with it, I might still do one, but she may not be involved. But
yeah, I've seen her commenting a lot on Twitter the last couple of weeks, but I didn't know who she really was.
What's the time zone, dude?
Pacific for 4 p.m. So your time, it would be 7.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
okay.
It'd be 7 Eastern, 6 Central.
Yeah. Anywho, thanks, guys, for jumping in. Sorry you had to jump a little bit later, Purple, but always a pleasure.
Oh, no. Thanks for inviting me.
No
Thanks for
worries.
inviting me as
Anytime.
well.
Yeah, anytime. You guys always know that. You're always welcome in here. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in for this hilariously Monty Python-esque after party and paganism after party. It was pretty cool. Anyways, until we see you guys next time, remember, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.